Hey gamers, this is David from Beyond Solitaire, and I'm just going to give you a quick overview of Insurgent Algeria. This was originally going to be a Kickstarter preview. This game is going to be published by Catastrophe Games, but they pulled off of Kickstarter for funding reasons. However, the game is still getting published. It's just going to go through Blue Panther instead of through a more traditional means, which I think is something they were going to try. But anyway, this is Insurgent Algeria. It's designed by Matthew Denton, and this was actually designed as like a college history and gaming project. And so I've been hanging on to this copy from the Game Crafter for a while. And I had just held on to it because I found out that it was getting published. And so here we are with a little preview of the game. So as the title may imply, this game is about Algerians rising up against the French. So it's a two-player card game with a solo player mode. One player will be the French, one will be the FLN. In solo, you were always the FLN, so we will be playing the Algerians in this game. And the game itself is relatively simple. Essentially, there are two ways to win. All of the cards in our deck are going to have icons on them, and we're going to be placing cards out in these three different fronts: the military front, the diplomatic front, and the political front. As we play the cards, we're going to do actions that are associated with those cards, but also the icons contribute towards dominance on each of these fronts. So there are two ways to win the game. One is to get total dominance in one of the fronts, which means beating your opponent by 8 or more icons on your turn. The other possibility is to win through attrition, which means that you run out of cards in your deck. So once somebody runs out of cards, you do some score calculation, and then whoever wins 2 out of 3 fronts is going to be the one who wins the game. The other big thing to know, I guess, is that the Algerians, when you play solo, you have to play them, and one of the reasons is that they are able to place their cards face down. So French cards always go face up. Algerian cards sometimes can go face down. And then when you take actions to reveal them, that's when they do the actions that are on the card. So you can like set up traps for the other player, including the AI. So when you're playing this solo, it's pretty simple. You just take 5 cards, and let's just kind of look at them and get a sense of what we're working with here. So there are 3 kinds of cards in the game. One is event. So when you do an event, you do what's on the card, and this goes to your discard pile. It does not go to one of the fronts. There are agent cards, and these cards will actually tell you where it is they need to go. So we know that Mohammed Kider needs to go to the diplomatic front because that is the kind of agent that he is. And of course, we'll get some notes about him and his actual life. And then I don't have any in this hand, but there are also cards that are called supporters, and supporters can go to any of these different fronts. There are also some actions that are worth talking about. So the player aid is nice. So there are a couple of actions that are specific to each faction. So the French are able to imprison us and send agents to jail. The FLN is able to hide, so turn cards face down, and also to do jailbreak, so I can get my cards back out of jail if I get the right hand. And then there are just common actions which can be done by either side. So attack means you can remove one of your opponent's cards from a front, or imprison, so the French can kill your prisoners. There's a bombing action where you roll dice and you can take extra cards off of different fronts depending on how many hits you get. Rally has no immediate effect, but it does help with tiebreak. Recruiting lets you draw cards from the top of your deck and then resolve one right away, which is pretty cool. Negotiate lets you draw a card from your faction deck, but because the French, as the solo bot, won't have a hand, it just means they're going to play another card, so it's kind of like recruiting. And then there's expose, which is flip one face down FLN card face up. So I can expose my own cards and do the actions on them, or the French can expose my cards and maybe get a nice little surprise. Haha. So let's go ahead and just do a couple sample turns so you can see what I mean. So let's say that I want to play Ali Lapointe. He is a real person who at one point escaped prison to help the FLN in Algiers, and he was killed in a bombing in 1957. He's going to go to the military front because the top corner of his card says Mill. And I want to play him face down because I think that having the gun and the expose actions might help me more, when there's something to attack or expose. So I can't really do much with him right now. But if I hide him, maybe I can expose him and do something with him later, which is kind of cool. So I've got 2 icons on this front now as well. If I can beat the French by 8 or more, then I would win the game. The French are going to start by just playing 1 card off the top of their deck, and I'll resolve the actions. All right, so here we have the Battle of Algiers. This is a bad one. It's a French event. So this is not going to put a card on a front. I'm going to move it to discard in a second, but this is absolutely going to mess me up. So first it's going to expose my card. So rude. And because it's an event and not like a card that's on a front, I can't even use my attack action. Boo. Then it's going to bomb me. So we'll see if it hits poor Ali Lapointe with a bomb first. Okay, so it actually does not. You have to roll a 4 to 6 on the dice to hit with a bomb. So he lives, but there's also an imprisonment action, so he does go to jail. So now I've got someone who is in prison, and we're going to have to think about how we want to deal with that. Okay, well, great. This will go to discard. Okay, well, what I could do is I could play the Algerian question event and break him right out of jail and recruit a card to play. So we're going to go ahead and play this event. I'm going to break Ali Lapointe out of jail, and I'm going to put him back face down over here in the military because you can place face up or face down after a jailbreak, and there's nothing for me to do with him here. And then I'm going to take a recruit action, and that means that I can draw 2 cards from the top of my deck. I'm going to pick one and play it now, and then I am going to put the other one on the bottom of the deck. So let's see what we got here. All right, I think that we're going to do... Ooh, supporters are nice. Okay, so basically, this is great because it lets me draw more cards, but it's just an event. And then this is great because it lets me put a card on a front that has 2 icons on it, but the rally icons don't really do anything. I think right now, maybe what I want is more options with my cards. So I'm going to play this event. This is going to go on the bottom of the deck. And I'm going to draw 2 more cards. So now I've got some more cards in my hand to work with. And don't forget, I don't want to run out too soon, but I also, would like some cards. So these are both events that are going to go down to my discard pile. And now we'll play another French card and see what happens. All right, so we got Guy Mollet. He's a French prime minister who once had tomatoes thrown at him upon visiting Algeria. Well, he probably deserved it. So he's going to go on the political front and add 2 symbols there, but we're also going to resolve his actions. So the negotiate card is going to be, he's going to play another card off the top of the deck. Great. So he will play this one off the top of the deck, and this one will also draw a card. Oh my God. Okay. So this lady is going to draw 2 cards. Okay, well, this one's just going to torture. Great. Okay, so this is a French event. It's going to attack, but there's no one to attack because nobody's exposed yet. But then it will expose. So this will go to discard, and I have to expose my guy here. However, when he got exposed is when he has to do his action. So I do get a free attack. All right, so I'm going to take this lady out because she's got 2 symbols on her, and I don't like that. So she's going to go to the graveyard. And then we're going to do one more play. We're going to draw 2 more cards off the top of the French deck, and we are going to play one or the other. Let's see what the bot rules were. So basically, when you're choosing recruits, it'll tell you. Cards with the most total icons, they're tied. Supporters will be chosen before an agent is chosen. So these supporters are going to go first. And then you will play them to the front with the most French cards. It's not going to happen. Front with the most French icons. Okay. So this guy will go to the bottom of the deck. Thank God, because my guy can live. And then this will go here. So we're just building up icons on the political front, apparently. And then it would be my turn again, where I'd play 1 card, and then I'd have to deal with whatever it is the French are doing. So hopefully this gives you a good sense of how this game is played. You've actually seen a lot of the actions happen now. But we will keep going back and forth until either attrition happens, because somebody's deck runs out, or until somebody manages to achieve total dominance on one of these fronts. So political is looking a little bit dangerous right now. It'd probably behoove me on a future turn to do something about that. So I can either play a bunch of my supporters, which I don't necessarily want to do right away, because I don't want them to just get imprisoned or taken away. But what I can do is maybe take out one of these cards over here and kind of reduce the pressure the French are putting on me right now. So that is Insurgent Algeria. It is a very simple little card game, but it is packed with a bunch of different historical information. So if that is something that sounds like it's for you, you're going to be able to get this from Catastrophe Games. It's just going to be published through Blue Panther as usual, instead of through a larger factory print run, which is something they were experimenting with this time. I also want to congratulate Matthew Denton for getting his first game out, because that is a huge deal in anybody's life, and I'm super, super happy to have him on the historical scene, and to know that you can go to college and design a game, because that is freaking awesome. So, all right, everybody, that is Insurgent Algeria. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, comment, maybe support me on Patreon. But most of all, happy gaming.